Three, two, one. Hey, Jules.
Hey,
Hey,
Rim.
Jules. I meant to ask you about this before the show, but can we start a fund anything drive? I kind of lost a ton of money in California Chrome today.
You're listening to Tauren Think Tank, the World of Warcraft podcast for you, the World of Warcraft player.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 103 of Triple T. Oh my God, that rhymes. It is June 7th of 2014. It is late. It's 10:36 p.m. on the East Coast because I had to start late. That's right. I am Rem. And if you missed it, because you probably did if you're listening to this now. But anyways, Jules was just singing to me in the pre-show. That's Jules over there, and I am going to go ahead. I'm going to clip that at the end of this show. I'm going to put it at the end so you can listen to Jules sing because Jules doesn't do
Aw.
enough singing on the Triple T. That's right.
I guess I need to produce something that I would not even have a clue how to do. But, there's always room for learning. Hi, Rem.
Hey, what's up?
You lost money on horse racing?
Oh, I mean, I lost more than money. I lost the sense of excitement of that Triple Crown. I was so excited to see something happen today, and then the horse couldn't even muster up the courage. No, it's not the horse. I mean, come on. What they do to these horses is crazy anyway.
I know. I gotta say,
It's
I
disappointing.
know so little about this whole thing about horse racing. Ugh. I see everybody tweeting about it. I'm like, okay, horses brand, yay, that's awesome.
This was hold on, this was history. This is a big deal. We haven't had a Triple Crown winner since 1978. This could have been something special.
Well, and now the internet is all lit up and being like, I don't think we'll ever have a triple crown winner because it just isn't possible anymore, the way that they're breeding these horses. And I'm like, I don't care. They're horses. They're
Yeah.
horses that are running in circles.
Well, let me try to explain it to you real quick. All right. It's probably going to take 25 minutes, but
No, no, no,
no.
no, no.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
All right.
I got better things to do with my time.
If you say so.
Uh,
It's horse racing. Come on.
horse racing.
It's pretty badass. I was that California Chrome though when they were doing. I'm sorry, I don't mean to keep going on this, but it was funny because as the horses were marching up to their starting gate, right? Chrome is just gets going up there. His head's all cocked up high in the air like a badass. He looked like a gangster. I was so proud of that horse looking as he was just because he was so chill. You know what I'm saying? He was so down with the clown and Charlie Brown and all that nonsense. So he didn't look like a winner, however. He looked like he had his pants sagging off his butt walking down the street, like, trying to prove a point.
True gangsta.
But he didn't have the drive today. So it was disappointing not to see a Triple
Bummer,
Crown winner.
I
Yeah.
guess.
hmm hmm So Jules, what is, let's do a show. So what's going on?
Oh, the World of Warcraft show that we do.
Wait, what?
Wait, what? Oh, so this was a good week for me.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. So last week I talked about how Cat on Fire, my raid team, went on hiatus.
Cat on fire.
Yeah, Cat's not so much on fire right now.
Cat's cooled off.
Yeah, kind of. Somebody threw some water on that cat. And we went on hiatus because we just really couldn't get a team to be all there at the same time at the same day.
Yeah.
So we hopefully will try to get the team back together. I gotta say, for the record, I'm hopeful, but I'm also a realist, and I know that a lot of my teammates have already gotten spots on other teams. So, I can't expect that they're going to wait around, and I can't expect that when I give the beck and call that they're going to be like, sure, Jules. So, but in any case, after I had announced that the team had gone on hiatus, I got a message from my friend Megacode. Megacode from Twitter, and he does
Healingspec.com.
Yep, healingspec.com.
That's right,
True,
Megacode.
awesome paladin healer.
Real life healer.
Oh, totally. He's an amazing guy. And I've gotten a chance to meet him at BlizzCon. Fantastic dude. And he messaged me and he said, hey, we have a team that we're running. It's called Orc Busters. What
Racist.
are you going to call? And did you just get that?
I just got that. He's been on that team for months. I just got it.
Oh, Rob. I haven't heard you laugh this hard in quite a while. Wow.
Sorry. Who are you gonna call Orc Buzzers? That's brilliant.
Funny.
Okay, I'm sorry.
You good?
Mhm.
Okay. So, he said, we have this 25-man team. We're going to be doing mythic rating in Warlords, and so we're doing 25-man now. And we're doing heroics, and if you want to sub in, you'd be welcome to be a sub for our team. And so I said, well, sure. And so, they actually needed me right away. So on this past Monday, I raided with them as they were on progression for heroic protectors.
Ooh.
And we killed them, which was
Yay.
awesome.
Congrats.
Yay. And so then we were moving on to heroic Narushan, which I've killed on 10-man heroic, but not on 25. And so the team is still on progression on that. And then they needed me again on Wednesday, so I joined them on Wednesday. And I'll be joining them again on Monday because we're on the same walkout. And it is a lot of fun. I have really never raided on a 25-man team except for in our previous guild, and I don't even know if you were there for this part, but we used to do 25-man pug naxes. Do you remember this?
Yeah, it's when I started the guild.
That's when you started. Okay. And so we used to go out in general chat and trade chat on our server and get people to just come, and I was like, oh my gosh, it would be like that's how the term herding cats was introduced to my vocabulary.
Yeah, totally just like herding cats.
It was like herding cats.
Yeah.
But that was my last time doing 25-man. And it is very different than 10. I've enjoyed it. It's been a lot of fun. And I just like being a free agent. I like if I don't have the time or something's come up that I'm not needed to raid. But if I do have the time, I can sign up and be there if they need me.
Yeah. So you enjoyed 25-man raiding?
It's okay. I still think my heart lies in 10-man.
Yeah.
I still think that's going to be where I feel the most comfortable. But in any case, I mean, I have to give the biggest shout out to those people who organize and manage a 25-man team. Because the amount of work it takes to make sure you've got enough players to be there and that people are performing up to snuff, especially when you're doing it as a heroic team, that is hardcore. And
Yeah.
I thought it was hard trying to manage a 10-man team. Oh, hell no.
I can't imagine how they keep everybody motivated in the current lull. You know what I mean? Because that was the hardest part about running a 10-man is like keeping everybody excited to show up every week.
Yeah.
So, and that's 9 other people. In this one case, it's 24 other people you got to count on to be there. Man, I do not ever want to try that, and I don't envy the people who have to do it. So, yeah.
You know, it is people who are truly dedicated to it. And that's how they keep them motivated, is because they're so dedicated to the cause, to making sure the team is running, making sure they have enough people. And then the nice thing about Convert to Raids Guild is that we always have people. There's always people available. And then when you're on a 10-man team like I was, 82,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I was on, doing Cat on Fire, it's like when you have only 10 people, you're looking for specific classes, people gelling together. It's got to be tight and locked in. And when you're 25, the reins are a little bit more loosened in that way.
Right.
You're looking for a good player who doesn't stand and poop. So, yeah. So that's what I've been up to doing. And so I've been raiding a lot in the last couple of days. And I just also wanted to give a quick shout out to the people who are part of my team of greeters in the Convert to Raid Guild. I am the leader of the welcome committee for the guild, which is the people who do the inviting for new members and their alts. And it is it's a big job because I have a team of about 25 people that I manage. And then I make sure that if the team is if there are people who aren't putting in the time, then I talk to them, let them go, possibly bring in new blood. And I have a whole thing that I've laid out to help them. And so it's a lot of work for me. It's a lot of work for them. And I want to give all of them a huge shout out because they really kick some ass.
Wow.
They do. They make our jobs so much easier because they're taking on a job that is so necessary. And there's demand for it 24 hours a day. There's 24 hours a day of people needing and wanting to be invited to the guild. So
how many greeters do you have?
Right now, I think I have about 25. And there are several of them in the chat room. right now. So so shout out definitely to Hester and Midnight. I don't know if anyone else is in here at the moment, but those
Oh
are
man, Midnight's a greeter.
she sure is.
Look at Midnight.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Midnight's
And
one of our buddies.
what they wind up doing a lot of times is they're just in the game doing farming or leveling an alt, and they're just watching to see who's looking for an invite. So they take their own time, and they require 5 hours a week. I require 5 hours a week from them, and they give it up in spades. So and Shield Bearer is here too. Shield Bearer is one of my greeters, and now has become one of our raid liaisons. So I love my greeters. Thank you guys for all you do. I don't thank you enough, and I want to do that right now. So that's what's been going on.
That
with
sounds like
me.
a business, Jules.
You know,
Sounds like a real job.
I know we talked about this before, but honestly, Rem, we run it like a business. I have procedures. I have a document of instructions for them to follow. I have rules and regulations.
Wow.
I have spreadsheets. I have Google Docs. I mean, it is a lot. It's a lot of stuff. And, you know, and then I have these people who are out there inviting, and periodically I need to go into their database and check who's holding up their end of the bargain, who's doing their time. If they're not doing their time, then they get a conversation with me. So it is like a business. And I'm very lucky that I have a team of people who have wanted to just give their time. And unfortunately, for most of them who've had to leave, it's just literally like things have changed in my life, or I've gotten bored with the game. I really don't have to say to someone, you know what, you're not cutting it, I need you to get out, you know.
Right.
So because they're giving up there, and these are volunteers, they're doing their own time and giving their own time to do this. And that's what everybody in the guild who is in a leadership role does. They are giving their own time to do this. So you have to run it like a business, but you have to treat it a little bit differently because these people are not being paid. So
Right.
they're doing it because they love it. And
You ever had somebody who you're trying to kick out and they're like, you can't kick me out, I do this for free?
I'll plead the fifth on that one.
Oh, so that, okay.
I'll plead the fifth on that. So, you know, and I know that there have been people have had questions about how things are run, and if there's interest in that, if there's ever interest in that, I would be happy to do maybe a segment on the show, a small segment on the show to talk about how we run things. But, you know, for the people who aren't in CTR, who don't care about mega guilds, they're probably going to be like, wah, wah.
Nobody cares about this crap. Get to this other stuff that matters.
I know. So, you know, if there's ever any interest, maybe I could do something separate. But yeah, I think that and people have had some questions. But
You don't talk about WoW enough.
all I've done is talk about WoW this whole time. You're the one that's talking about horse racing. So, so in any case, that's what's going on with me.
Yeah.
And I did fail to mention that I did get into the Warlords Alpha. I did mention that, but since that's on your list, I'm going to let you get into that.
Okay. I'll get into that in a second. I want to tell a story quick.
Go ahead.
Because this hasn't happened to me before, and it's the first time it's happened to me, and it was weird. Since I started my new office 7 weeks ago, they have started 7 weeks ago. They started construction on the highway that I need to take to get up there. Right. So there's an extra added bit of traffic, which is a real pain in the tuchus. Yeah. So and it's this whole thing, and then they blocked off the third lane, so you have to merge sooner. So they try to ease the flow of traffic anyway. So anyways, I'm driving up. It's on the highway. I'm driving up the right lane while everybody's merging in the left lane. I want to get to the end because, you know, I'll find my spot and slide in. And then this one lady wasn't going to let me in. She refused. All right. So I'm getting stuck there. So I had to pull in front of this other lady behind her. All right. And that lady behind her wasn't happy. So she beeped at me. Then I look in my rear view and she's flipping me off. Right. She's like giving me the finger and yelling at me. So as we pass the construction site and the traffic lanes open back up again, she passes me and she's reaching out like through the passenger side window as much as she could. She's giving me the finger and she's yelling at me.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I was like, wait a second, what? And so I started thinking. Later on, we got into traffic again, and I passed her, and it was great because she got stuck in the lane, and I just went right by. But I mean, oh my God, what is going on, Jules, with people? How does she know I'm not some sort of crazy who would have just rammed right into her car or does something stupid? Or I mean, what are people thinking?
But you know what, though? She sounds like she's the crazy.
Well, yeah,
You know, that
maybe.
and road rage, man, road rage, I've seen it. I had that happen to me once where I I don't know what I had done. I really don't know what I did to piss this guy off. But because I didn't pass him. I didn't do anything, but apparently he didn't like the fact that I wasn't going fast enough, which I was going the speed limit. And so he kept riding on my tail. And when that happens to me, I tap my brakes just to try to get him to back off a little bit. And so he decides to whip around me. I was on a 4-lane road each way. So he decides to whip around me and is screaming and yelling out the window. And I'm just like, I mean, people, relax. It's like, I understand that people are in a hurry. They want to get to where they're going. But there are some people that are just so angry, and then driving makes them even, it just drags out everything worse.
Yeah, it's terrible, and it's so bad now. Everybody's so selfish. Everybody's always such in a rush and always out for themselves. It's like,
oh gosh, yeah.
You notice it a lot in traffic, just how people act around other people. Instead of just, letting a car merge and just everybody merge politely and gently and easing the flow of traffic. No, we got to fight for these spots. We got to beep at each other. We got to not let people in, which causes more traffic. It's weird. Yeah. Anyways, I think my message here is everybody calm down. You'll get there eventually.
Yeah, but you know what? You live on the East Coast. Yeah. And it is so much different out here in Midwest. And yes, we have our people who would do our road rages, trust me. But for the most part, when there's traffic and there's merging, unless you're the guy who sees clearly that there's a blinking arrow telling you to move over and everybody else in that lane is moved over but you, and you decided to zoom up that lane, get to the very end and shove your way in, then people are going to let you in.
Right.
So when we were in New York 2 weeks ago.
Oh, good luck.
We were in the bus station coming home, and my sister was standing on an escalator. There were two sets of escalators. My sister and her boyfriend were on the second escalator across from us. And this woman comes up behind. Standing is on the right and walking is up on the left. And my sister is standing on the left. And she didn't know what to do. So she kind of just stood there. And this woman goes, "Are you kidding me? Some of us have a bus to catch." Seriously, this totally happened. And I was just like, oh my gosh. And I just kind of rolled. My sister was all upset. And I was just like, you know what? People are people, and they can, she can be a yacht and whatever. So
what?
A yacht.
Okay. All right. So I just wanted to tell that story because I just, and the whole thing, like, she doesn't know how crazy I am. You piss off the wrong person on the highway, you're in for a world of trouble.
But she ain't scared of you.
Oh, she would be if I was nuts. All right. So yeah, I got a surprise email, and you did too, earlier in the week.
Yes.
As they started the alpha for the closed alpha, I guess, the private alpha. I don't know what they're calling it, for Warlords of Draenor.
Yep.
Which was exciting until I realized it was an alpha. And the only thing available is Frostfire
and Horde. Yeah.
In the Horde, yeah.
Yep.
So it's just the alpha.
Yep.
I had two things. The first thing is that I downloaded it when I got it, and then I was going to play on Thursday and didn't have a chance to because of real life. And then I was going to play on Friday, but I didn't have a chance to because my movie time, I missed my 5 o'clock movie for X-Men, so we had to go at 8. And then I didn't have time, and I'd rather see X-Men, to be perfectly honest. And then, of course, I didn't have a chance tonight. So I haven't even gotten into the alpha. And this is after me weeks of complaining that I wasn't in the Heroes alpha. So I didn't jump right into the Warlords alpha. But also is that it's an alpha with with very limited testing capabilities. And you sitting down? Because I hope you didn't get your hopes up for a fall release, because this thing's coming out in December.
Well, we got an alpha in June, so who the heck knows? We've never been through this before.
Yeah, this is so new, right? They didn't give out alphas to people. They started the beta. They would open up the beta for 6 months and then release the game.
Right.
So I mean, this is such weird territory that we're in. especially, when you come in, and I don't mean to sound like I'm complaining again, but these are just the facts. They come from BlizzCon and they have a playable demo with new models in it, and so everybody can play, a piece of the Horde or the Alliance game. And then they say a couple weeks later that we're further along in development than we were with Mists of Pandaria at this point. And then there's nothing, and then there's nothing, and then there's an info dump, and then there's some more nothing, and then there's another info dump. And then there's an alpha that was released to friends and family they told everybody about for some reason. And then they opened up this alpha after a bunch of nothing. So it's a really strange time that we're in with Blizzard. And, between Ghostcrawler leaving, you kind of wonder, what happened? What's the holdup? What's going on? And it's so odd that they would leave us after giving us content patch after content patch and rushing. It felt like rushing anyways. Everything from Mists of Pandaria out. And say, we want to give you the content to play. And then all of a sudden, September hits, we get 5.4, and there hasn't been anything since then.
Well, in my take on this is that, especially the blog that came out, the dev water cooler that came out talking about the new stats. And I don't know if you got a chance to read that.
There's some of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you read that, you really understand that there has been a tremendous amount of thought process going into what they want to change in terms of the stats that are going to stay the same and the ones that are going to change. And even now, they're still looking at it, and they're looking at it from a way of saying, we promised this at BlizzCon, and yet when we looked at it deeper, it really didn't make as much sense as we thought it would for your play style. And I believe that it's just this hard kind of like rabbit hole feeling of once you change this, then all of these other things change too. The other thing that they're not doing is they're not developing a new class. So they're creating, and they're not doing a new race. So they have to give us enough content for this expansion to come out. And what it means is that it's overhauling all the stuff that we've had before. So I think that's almost harder. I think it's harder to go back and say, we loved it this way and this is the way it was. And now we got to change it. How are we going to change it to make it right? That's where I feel it's taking so long, is because they're trying to make this game so much more playable and functional, changing a 10-year game and figuring out how to do it. Plus, in the chat room, Agamel said, I wonder if the new file system is giving them trouble. They're also doing a lot of infrastructure changes, which I'm sure when you're trying, it's like building a house on top of another house. That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
Without unraveling the house that is currently built. So I can't believe that it'd be easy to do what they're trying to do right now.
And I'm sure it puts them in a weird position where, like, my easy answer to all this is just tell us what's going on. Tell us what the holdup is, and we'll leave you alone. But that's not the case, because as we've established already, people are jerks. So a lot of people on the internet will get on them. Why? And start asking those stupid questions. Well, Blizzard's failing because they're having trouble with this. So I understand why they don't want to say anything about it either. So they're stuck in this weird little place where they can't tell you why this is taking so long. And so we're left to make our own assumptions on it.
Right.
But if they were to tell us why, then we'd all jump on them because of that anyways.
Right. And then they would be stuck trying to answer for all of that that they've given out instead of working on the game. So I think it's better for us to just know that there's things happening and they are providing us with information that they can and feel comfortable sharing. I think that's great. The information that we got this week, and then seeing the alpha and hearing what's happening with the alpha, I did get a chance to bop around a little bit in there, probably about 20 minutes or so, and it was fun. But for me, like I stated in the last show, I don't want to spoil myself. I was okay doing this while I was in the Horde side, but if this was Alliance, I'd be like, I don't want to see it, because I'm going to see it when the game comes out, and I'm going to be experiencing then. And I don't want to ruin it beforehand, but so that's why I decided to go in the first place, because it was the Horde side.
Mm-hmm.
So
I don't want to stand this too long because we have stuff to do. But Just Plain Creepy in the chat room says this lull happens. My God, between every expect, people just either forget or impatient, himself included.
Yeah.
But what's weird about this is that what makes this even more of an issue is that we had such quick content in the last expansion. Every 2 months we were getting something new, and then all of a sudden it's come to a complete and full stop. And so we're stuck with Siege of Orgrimmar, where there's nothing new coming until the new game comes. So
Yeah.
it feels even longer because of that, because everything was so fast beforehand. So, but it is nice to see progress being made, and there's a bunch of us in the alpha, and at some point I will play it and let you know my thoughts on it, because like they matter. But yeah, so yeah, no, we're getting there, I guess. Getting there. So I guess I have nothing else to talk about, Jules. Do
All
you?
right.
No?
I think it's time to get digging into our discussion topic of the week.
Discussions.
I always have to wait to make sure you're not going to be doing a trumpet towards the end, and then you do it.
Yeah. The real one will come at some point.
All right. And we keep promising this, and someday it will happen.
I promised to Jules about finale, and you got it eventually. So.
I know, eventually.
Yeah.
So I'll just keep wishing. All right. Here's our discussion topic of the night. Greetings, Triple T. Ian here. The live stream for episode 102 just finished up, and I find myself sitting here reflecting on the discussion about the, quote, Rob Pardo incident, unquote. A lot of interesting things came up both on air and in the chat room, but my brain seems to be hyper-focused on one thing in particular. When faced with sexist, racist, or other similar types of comments, when does one speak out against it? Should one speak out against it? A quick story, and then I'll tie it back in. Over the Memorial Day weekend, I was at a barbecue at my parents' house when one of my dad's friends started making some fairly racist comments regarding Mexicans. Some folks my age, made uncomfortable, got up and went inside. I, being me, listened to his comments and then, in a very respectful way, pointed out that his comments were quite racist. This man, several beers in, got really angry, and after ranting for a bit, grabbed his wife and went home. I got some nods of approval from the few remaining folks my age, and then got chastised by my dad. Maybe you shouldn't offend my friends, he said. I responded, his comments were racist, and that isn't okay. His response, he's still your elder. My last word, that doesn't mean he gets a free pass. When faced with exceptionally asinine comments about race or gender or sex, whether it's in real life or in social media, when does one confront or call out the offender? This was already fairly difficult to gauge before social media was a thing, but now everyone can voice their opinions to the entire world. When do we speak out? Should we speak out? Do we have the right to? One of the things I've been told recently is don't be an a-hole.
Okay, thank God.
I didn't do it. Don't be an a-hole. And when confronted with someone making these kinds of comments, to just get up and walk away. Is that really what we're supposed to do? Sure, it preserves momentary peace, but those kinds of comments and beliefs are poison and can spread. Do we maintain the peace or strap on our armor and fight the good yet respectful fight? I usually choose the latter, at least in real life, and have damaged more than a few relationships as such. Internet social justice warriors make me die a little inside, which really is a shame. The internet is a powerful tool and could and has been leveraged as such with regards to social activism, but many times it's hard to separate good internet activism from the angry social justice warriors. The world is hard. Thanks, Ian, aka Fate 3000.
The world is hard and just getting harder every day.
Okay. Did you think we poked a hornet's nest last week? Hi.
Hey.
You were back again.
Yeah.
But you know what? I think this is a really good topic to hit. And some things that I have had specific experience with. Because I really had to think about, when I started doing Twitter and I started doing Facebook, I really had to think about what kind of things are okay with me and things that are not okay with me. And Ian's example of his father's friend and his racist comments being addressed, and then his father telling him that you need to respect your elders. This is such a touchy thing, because I think that many of us who listen to this show are kind of within the same generation. And then we have our parents who are obviously a different generation and grew up with a different mindset. The world was different when they grew up. And, I find when I listen to Mama Rem talk to you, Rem, that I am always amazed at how at how close she feels to our generation in terms of her mindset. Because you almost want to expect that someone in her age group is going to be completely detached to what makes us tick. Because I see that all the time. My parents struggle with it. I love them dearly. But my parents struggle with that kind of latent racism that hangs out there. They make the comments about the Asian drivers in New Jersey. They make comments about how all the gas stations are owned by Indians. And it's like, I just roll my eyes and go, because I don't know, what am I supposed to say to that? In my mind, it's my parents, it's their beliefs. I'm not going to change it, but I certainly don't believe what they have to say. So it just, I find it very much it's a generational struggle. And for that part of it, I give Ian a ton of credit, and to have the cojones to stand up to this guy and tell him that your comments are making me uncomfortable. You've got this face on right now.
I do, because I want to say something, but it's probably going to come out all wrong. So well, I'm going to try to find it.
I'll help you shape it. How's that?
First of all, in regards to Mama Rem, she needs to do that because of her job.
Okay.
She works with kids who aren't mentally stable. She's a psych nurse, so she needs to be up on what's going on with the youth these days, and so she makes an effort to kind of pay attention to everything.
But don't you think that it would be so easy for your mom to be like, whatever, I don't care what these kids think. What I feel is what I grew up with is right, and therefore I don't care what they have to say.
But then she wouldn't be an effective nurse, and she's smart enough to realize that.
And and that's what makes her so amazing, is because she does really want to understand and not just stay on her own. What she learned is what her mom taught her, what her dad taught her, what her grandparents taught her.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it'd be totally easy, but she makes a conscious effort to stay focused on on what's happening now. And it's funny when the kids try to get onto her and try to trip her up with some modern day thing, like when she explained that she knew what a podcast was and how she knew Scott Johnson, and this kid freaked out, like, oh my God, how do you know all this? So yeah, but we're at such a strange time in our history now where every single person in the world has access to a voice. They have a voice in the world for everybody to see. And that's never happened before. There only used to be a select few people who could talk, and then the world would listen. Now everybody, because of Twitter, Facebook, everybody can see what you're saying, no matter who you are. So we have this weird, and you said the social justice warriors, the internet social justice warriors, who are going to react to everything that's said, every headline that's made. And you got like the guy who wrote the article last week about Pardo. He just took what he wanted from that comment and made a headline: Blizzard hates women. And then the internet just immediately pounced on that headline, and I don't care what they say. I'm going to go ahead and just assume, because that less than 50% of them actually read the article before making a comment, before they posted.
And it is an assumption.
Yeah, it's an assumption, but I'm thinking it's a fairly accurate one.
Because, because of what we've seen in the past, I can't disagree with you, but obviously someone who is really on their cause and feeling like they're on their cause should be listening and read about that stuff. I mean, but
when you see a headline, you should probably research and look into what the headline actually says before commenting. But anyway, that's what happens. People see a headline, they start commenting on it. And what we fail to realize being the quote unquote younger generation here, the more hip, the more liberal, the more internet savvy, social media savvy, is that there is a whole, like you said, and you hit it right on the head, is there is a whole generation, a whole couple of generations who came before us in different times when, well, it might not have been acceptable. It never is acceptable, but this is how they grew up talking. These are the things they said to each other in the comfort of their own homes. And right or wrong, it's what happened. Like Donald Sterling, for example, he's 80 years old. This is how they talked when he was 20. So he doesn't know any different, and he hasn't made it's not an excuse. It's just what it is. He hasn't made the effort to change. So that's wrong. But this is just the way he lived his life. So he doesn't know any different from that. And he's not willing to make the change and be different, because, at some point you have $1 million, millions of dollars. You don't think you need to change anymore.
Well, billions of dollars, because
billions now.
When you think about someone like, okay, let's talk about Donald Sterling for a second. The reason people got so freaking crazy upset about that whole thing is because he owns an NBA team. He owns an NBA team. If you are a racist who owns an NBA team, that is messed up.
See, we've never determined whether he's a racist or not. He said racist things, but because you say racist things doesn't necessarily make you a racist. It makes you ignorant.
Well, that is up for debate.
Because if he was a racist, he employed Elgin Baylor, who was a very long-running GM of his, who was a black man, and he employs black people on his basketball team. So while he may be ignorant, who's to say he is a racist? He just says ignorant things.
Well, you're right. Nobody knows who he is outside of him and the people who are closest to him. But when you are the people who work for him, so now you're a basketball player on the team, you hear this from the person who owns your team.
Oh,
you now feel disrespected.
Oh, totally.
And then on behalf of all the players on that team, everyone reacted so negative, in support of the team. And I can't not support that.
No, and I'm not saying that you should. You're absolutely right. People were offended, people were hurt, and that hurts people. And I totally agree with that. What I'm saying is, and is to recognize who's saying what and where they came from. And it's not an excuse at all.
Right.
But he doesn't know any different.
Or does he care to not know any different?
Right.
Like
Either way.
Person, Ian's father's friend, who says these words. I sometimes feel like these kinds of comments don't necessarily come from that person's belief system. It's just that, and I'm generalizing here, but like I'm thinking about my mom, for example, in this respect. I think everybody around her when she was growing up was talking like that. So in essence, she started talking like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes I think that when you're surrounded by people who speak like that, you feel like it's okay. You feel like it's something that everybody does, therefore everybody just does it. And this guy may be a straight out racist against Mexican people, but he also, as you said, may be ignorant. I see your point there. And just not knowing any better.
And going to your parents, now your parents aren't up on social media. They don't frequent the internet. They're not, social justice people. They live their life. They take care of their family, right? So if they go to a gas station 3 times a week and every gas station they go to is owned by an Indian person, what are they going to start to assume?
That every gas station is owned by an Indian person,
right,
which is what they do.
And they don't want to, they weren't raised to take the time to think beyond what they see.
And yet my parents would be super polite to every person who they met of Indian descent.
It doesn't make them a
Asian
racist.
descent. Exactly. They would but that they get frustrated when it is something where what their frustration is that like every gas station is owned by an Indian who is rude. That's how they've kind of said this in the past. And because they've experienced them being rude to them as customers.
Yeah.
Does that make it true? No. It doesn't make it every single gas station in New Jersey is owned by a rude person of Indian descent. No, it's not. But to get back on the topic at hand, talking about when you should say something, or should you say something? I'm reading the chat room as it's going by, and you guys are being super vocal and great discussion, and people are talking about a lot of their own experiences of being in a situation where they were with their elders or people who were older than them or family members, and they were saying racist type things or things that made them uncomfortable, and they felt like they couldn't say anything because it would cause disruption. It would cause people to be upset. So in Ian's case, he could have sat there and taken it or done like others had done where they just got up and walked away. Instead, he chose to say something to this man. He got mad, and his father got mad at him because he felt that he was being rude to his friend. And I feel like that is the hardest thing in the world to be, is when you've been taught and raised to be polite, quote unquote. I'm doing air quotes right now.
Good pod.
To be polite to others, even if you don't agree with what they're saying, but by challenging an idea, all of a sudden you become impolite. even if you use it respectfully, that's the problem right there, is that we are not permitted in polite conversation when things don't become as polite any longer to be the person to say you are being impolite. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally.
So in the social media realm, we have the option of allowing people to become friends with us on Facebook or to follow someone on Twitter. And I have recently unfollowed somebody who was saying something that was making disparaging comments towards women. It was another woman who was doing this, by the way. And it angered me so much that I did not want to see it anymore. But I knew that if I unfollowed this person that they would notice. So I told them. And I said, I am unfollowing you because I don't feel what you're saying is right. And I did. And then that person went on a rant. Because, and it's like, I don't understand this. I don't understand, why does it not become my choice anymore to say, I want to stop listening to what you want to say? But apparently, in some people's circles, they find it. I've gotten challenged by people who I've unfollowed because I didn't like what they had to say. And I hate that. It's like, if I didn't like what you had to say, I'm going to choose to unfollow you. If you want to know what upset me about it, you can ask me and I'll tell you. But I have the right to say, I don't want to hear what you have to say anymore. That's my choice. And I have that choice in a social, physical, like face-to-face setting too. I can say to someone, you know what? I don't want to hear what you have to say anymore. But then I'm rude.
Yeah.
And that sucks. I think Ian was spot on here, of course. And like I said, he has the guts to be able to do this to an elder and then get called out by his own father about it, because it made people uncomfortable. That's the bottom line, is that the conversation went in a place where people were uncomfortable, and then someone stood up and said, what you're doing is making me feel uncomfortable. And then they were like, well, I don't care how you feel. I'm saying what I want to say, and blah, 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 curse, curse, curse. We're leaving.
We live in a capitalist society. So, you upvote or downvote something with your dollar, right? So if I wanted to open up a bar that only catered to white guys who were between 20 and 30, now the government would never let me do that, of course, but say they did, all right, that bar would not succeed,
right?
Because people would vote down with their dollars. They wouldn't show up and give me money, right?
Right.
So I mean, the best way to preserve the peace is just stop giving that person attention, right? I mean, in my family, it's kind of, you don't disturb the peace in my family, right? On my father's side of the family, they're all Italian. You don't rock the boat. You respect your elders and you let the adults talk and the kids go in the other room.
That's how the hierarchy has always been.
Yes, set. That's just the way it is, and you're not going to upset that because they won't allow it. It'll always go back to that way until I take over or my cousins take over. And then that's when we can start to change it. But right now, that is what it is. And you get up and you walk away if you need to. I'm not saying they're all a bunch of racists saying racist things. No, I'm saying there's a certain way of doing things in the family. And we just accept it because it's much better to just accept it than it is to cause problems within the family.
Yeah. But inside, you're thinking, my God, what a jerk, or my God, what a racist, or, this guy doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. But you can never, in your family, because the rules have been established, you can't speak up and say that.
Right. I can't say bring the kids to the main table. No, the kids have to sit at the other table because that's what they do. I can't say, hey, Dad, why don't you help with the dishes? No. He's going to sit at the head of the table while everybody clears his plate for him because he's the elder in the family now.
Right. And that's something that you earn. And,
and
every family has their rules.
Yeah. But in the other side of the family, it's not like that at all. So, it's two different types of families. Speaking of the other side of the family, going back to the whole Indian owning gas stations thing, someone I know very well deals in gasoline, sells it, and by talking to him, you would believe that every gas station in Connecticut is owned by a Pakistani man. So, but that's just because who he sells to. That's who's buying them.
Yeah.
So what do? It's easy on social media just to stop following. And it's funny because we all have a voice and we all say, oh, you can unfollow. I don't care. But then we're like, oh, why did you unfollow me? I'm so offended now.
Because if you truly didn't care, it would not have an impact on you at all. You would just say what you want to say. But no, we're looking for acceptance. We're looking for people to accept what we have to say. And, let's face it, Rem, this is why we do a podcast. We're hoping that people will feel the same way that we do, but we also accept the fact that not everybody is going to.
Right.
We accept the fact that not everyone's going to take our side on this. They're going to argue with us. They're going to feel like what we're saying is incorrect, or we've gave that person wrong advice or something like that. But it's how we take it. It's how we react to it that becomes the key portion of this that's missing. And that's what happened with this man that Ian ran into, is that he was not willing to be told that his words were offensive. And he wanted to justify exactly why he felt that that statement was wrong. And instead of talking it through in a way that was constructive, he just went off in a huff and stalked away. And that is what happens with a lot of people. And like for me, unfollowing people who I didn't agree with, I don't want to get into the battle. I just want to stop seeing it, because I don't think that I'm going to change everybody. If I don't, if I'm going to watch someone in there and just be like, you know what, I'm done with this. Rather than get into an all-out war about it. And then there's the people who like to get into the all-out war about it and tell someone that what they're saying is hurtful or it's painful or that kind of thing. And so we're always going to have those levels of people in our society, but it's a matter of how we interact with each other in a positive or negative way. And to answer Ian's question, I think there's a lot of things that are going to have to happen in the world before we feel like everybody can have that conversation. But when you think about our elders, if you want to put it that way, when you think about their generation and then the generation that is now becoming, we're getting to be in the 30s and 40s of this generation that's coming in. And we have a mindset and we have a world where gay marriage is allowed. I mean, in Wisconsin, yesterday, the gay marriage ban was overturned. And that was amazingly huge for this state because it had been so against it. But would your parents have ever imagined a place where gay marriage would be a possibility?
No, and my father still doesn't accept it because where he comes from, that's not socially acceptable.
Exactly.
And he can't understand it. And you know what? In his lifetime, he's not going to change. As much as I try to tell him he's wrong, and my father and I have had conversations in private, not at the family table, God forbid, but we've had conversations. That's just the way he was brought up and the way he thinks, and as wrong or right as he thinks he is, that's it. Now he doesn't go out of his way to berate or belittle gay people. He doesn't do that. He's not that type of person. But in private, he does have those thoughts.
And he has that feeling about it because that's what he believes.
And that's all he knows. And at some point, people say everybody can change. But, I mean, you've been set in your ways, quote unquote. Like I'm doing air quotes too. You're set in your ways. Spencer in the chat room says, I'm confused. You feel you don't have the right to speak up at family gathering because you feel there are implied rules that state you can't. No. I can speak up at a family gathering. Now, again, I want to reiterate, there is no racism going on at a family gathering. It's just the way things are done within that side of the family.
The status quo has been set so that nobody gets upset.
Right. Yeah.
If you follow the status quo, then nobody gets upset and everybody's fine and the family gathering goes smoothly.
Exactly.
If you upset that apple cart, man.
Right. If I wanted to change something or bring up the thought of changing something, I risk ruining everybody's day. And then I'm the jerk because of it. There are established rules. We all accept it. And if there's a problem, we do something, pull them aside and do it in back channels, kind of like politics. It's weird.
Yep. It is. But do you think that at this point now, when we become grandparents and our children have children, that we will have a generation where people will be a little bit more willing to have these kinds of discussions?
Yeah. Oh, we're changing now. Everything's changing in front of us. We'll be able to have these discussions, and people will be able to tell us that, we're wrong for thinking something. God, look at kids today. They all think they're entitled to something. Mm-hmm. They haven't earned anything yet, but they think that way because we've let them believe that they're special. Yeah, all kids are special, but you got to also earn the respect too. But
that's the thing. And they've said this a number of times in the chat room, is that you may call someone an elder, but being an elder means that you've earned that title, not because you're old.
Yes, exactly. And a lot of today's youth they don't recognize what being an elder actually means, that you've lived a life, you have experience, you've earned the respect of being that elder. It completely falls on deaf ears. They don't understand that. Everybody thinks they have a voice now. Part of what social media has given everybody a voice at any age. So they all think what they have to say is just as important as what you have to say. And what happened in the past be damned. Because we're living in the here and now, baby. Right?
Yeah.
So it's just weird time. So, and again, to get to Ian's question, when do you speak up? I mean, you can speak up whenever you want. You got to know there's going to be consequences to you speaking up, depending on whether, what the family or what the gathering is like and who's there.
Right.
Because
family gatherings of that nature are meant for one thing. It's for you guys to be in the same room together and share a couple of hours. It's not to talk politics. It's not to talk any pressing social issues. It certainly isn't talking about religion or, or anything that, it's about polite conversation and finding out what's going on in people's lives.
Yeah.
And that's how families work.
And that's why I say you vote with your dollar. When somebody starts saying something you disagree with, you get up, you stop listening, and then they stop talking when they don't have an audience anymore.
But okay, let's say you're at a family gathering and somebody in you're around this big table of people and someone starts talking about voting with your dollar in some place. Like, I went into this store and they were so rude to me. And that the woman behind the counter she was just such a witch. And I find that every woman who has blonde hair just seems to have this attitude problem in this state. I mean, come on. And you have that conversation because people have those conversations at family gatherings. So all of a sudden you've gone from being the polite conversation of the price of apples has gone up pretty high, to
so that blonde idiot gypped me on those 3 apples.
And therefore all the blondes who work in this area are idiots and mean. And then all of a sudden now you've introduced this aspect of stereotyping and criticism.
Well, you know what? Let me tell you an example of something like this in real life.
Okay.
That happened to me recently. On my new route, there is a transgender. She's a woman now.
Yeah. So it's a transgender woman.
Transgender woman. Okay.
Okay.
So when they're showing me the route, and another guy says, "Hey, have you?" Says there's this. One of them looked at me, didn't really know how to say it, but he says, "So there's this thing." And it comes out and I don't know what it is because it's either in between a man or a woman. And I'm like,
oh God.
And I said, well, wait a second. Does it look like? And say, yes, that's a transgender woman. And
God.
Because she has a deep voice, she might be in between. Why are you? It's not a thing. It's still a human being. She's just different from you.
That's so ignorant. It hurts.
Yeah, but here's it wasn't like they.
He didn't know what to do.
He didn't know what to say, and being uncomfortable made him go to that point where calling her an it, right? Because he didn't know how I would react, whether he was accepting of it or not.
And why was it necessary for him to tell you this in the first place?
Well, because she comes out to get her mail, and so I see her all the time, and I talk to her every day. I say, hey, how you doing? And so he wanted me to be aware that she does come out to say hello. And not to freak out because he doesn't know, he didn't know me and how I would react to something like that. So he went to the most common emotional level, I guess, and just went right for the insult, not realizing maybe I was a transgender man. He didn't know, right? So
okay, and so this is absolutely exactly what is wrong with society. Now, this person who was training you on the route, let's say you had a guy on the route who, if you weren't careful, he came out with a baseball bat and tried to hit you in the knees.
Yes.
And so warning you that this guy might come flying out of his house to hit you in the knees is a warning to help you be prepared for that.
Yeah.
What the hell are you being prepared for when a transgender woman comes to greet you at the mailbox?
That's basically what I said to him. It's like, it's just fine. This doesn't bother me one bit. I'm perfectly okay with this.
Wow.
You don't have to reduce her to being an it. It's a she. She has a name. And she lives at this apartment, and this is a real person.
I know, and I know that I'm just reacting to. Sometimes I just forget how awful people can be, and they don't even know it. And that is the problem: is that they don't even know how awful they're being about something of this nature because they don't know how to handle it anymore. And as Bim
But-
said in the chat room, good for you.
Well,
I
I
mean,
mean,
good
and
for
now-
you for standing up to the guy and saying, so what's the big deal?
Let me also be clear. I wasn't rude to him. I didn't start yelling at him and berating him. I just said very matter-of-factly, okay, what's the big deal? Doesn't bother me at all.
Right.
You know, that's a transgender woman. So what? And then we're moving on. Moving on. We got work to do. Moving on. You know, I didn't sit there and just tell him I just corrected him, and we're moving on.
And sometimes for someone like that, maybe he just needed the help.
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe he
it really
just
seemed to
needed
me
the
he was
help
just
to know it was okay.
yeah, he was just uncomfortable with it. Didn't know how to approach the topic with me. So, you know, it's just when you get uncomfortable with something, you reduce it to something that you think everybody knows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's we really could go on for so long on this topic, but I think the thing that you hit on earlier about the internet being what it is and allowing everyone to have a voice is going to help us, and it will hurt us if we let it. And when we're in this point that we are right now, where everybody can say what they want to say, and then we have the choice of choosing to listen or choosing not to listen. It gives us the opportunity to have the exposure to some of these things that we may not have had when we were younger,
Right.
or that our parents never had the opportunity to do. Does it make us more educated? I think so. Does it make us more able to determine who we like to spend our time with and who we don't? I think so. So as people who live on the internet, because we do, I think everybody who listens to the show probably does the same because you listen to this kind of thing, that the world is going to be so different for us when we have our grandchildren. And we have the opportunities right now to be able to teach people and speak up and tell people if we don't like what they have to say, or just choose not to listen, because social media is also a currency. If you start losing people following what you have to say, you may want to change what you have to say.
Yeah. Yep.
So we're not going to change the world in a day or a year or a 10-year cycle or 20-year cycle. But I do think the world is changing. And once this generation of elders has passed on, there may be a very different style in how we do things.
Mhm.
So, oh my gosh, we really took this one for a long loop. But I think it was a great discussion.
Yeah.
And, you didn't say anything. I don't know what you were afraid of. You didn't say anything.
I don't remember. Oh, because I'm not trying to excuse racism. I'm just trying to make the point that there's just ignorance. You know,
Yeah.
Donald Sterling isn't necessarily a racist. He's just ignorant, and that's just the way he's talked all his life.
Mm-hmm.
And now that it's 2014, everybody's got to be politically correct. Since 1998, we're correcting him. And it's too late now. It's just we're in a weird thing of correcting everybody immediately, and instead of focusing on big problems like homelessness and hunger, we're going to go after a basketball owner who's ignorant. There's better things we can do with our time, really. But I don't know. So I'm going to stop, and we're going to do this because you know what's great about the internet?
What?
Getting a brand new computer to play on it with.
Nice transition.
Thanks. That's right. Because, the internet's great for lots of things. Maybe not so much social media sometimes, but it's also great for gaming because you can get on Steam and download a whole bunch of new games. Maybe you were invited to the Warlords of Draenor Technical Alpha and you want to see the great, all the Frostfire Ridge and the great character models. So what do you need, Jules? You need a computer that can handle anything. That's right. I said anything. And what kind of computer is that? That's the greatest gaming computer on the planet. It's a Doghouse Systems PC. Go!
Go, get one. And, you'll
you.
help Triple T out if you go ahead and do this. DoghouseSystems.com is the place that you need to go and spec out a brand new gaming computer of your dreams. And when you're checking out, you enter the code Triple T at checkout and you get double the memory on your brand new gaming system. This offer is awesome. It gives you so much to work with. Free memory. That's awful. Like how
memory is a currency.
Memory is a currency. To not have enough memory is awful, is what I was trying to say. So go to DoghouseSystems.com, enter the code Triple T at checkout, and please support us. We thank you for supporting Doghouse Systems and for supporting our show.
Let's do the think tank.
Let's do it.
This is gonna be a long show.
It is gonna be a long show.
Tauren between options? Let Triple T help you sort it out.
And now, the think tank. My God, I wanted to edit tonight. I don't think I'm going to be able to.
I don't think so, honey. We started late and we're going long.
Wow.
But when great discussions happen, you just got to let them happen.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. Question the first. Hey, 3 times T. Oh, that's an interesting way to put it. First off, congratulations on 100. I have listened from around the 1-year mark, and I'm happy to see you two keeping it up. My raid has been having trouble as of late. We are stuck on Garrosh 10 normal and tensions are high. Most of the group has been together since early Kata. The attitude in the group has seeming to get worse since we've been in Siege of Orgrimmar. And as of now, there are a few of us, myself included, that are at the point that we are taking time off raiding. We only have 11 people on the roster and no subs for tanks or heal rolls. All in all, from my point of view, we have a few raiders that have bad attitudes. For example, challenging any strats that are not similar to the guides and generally being rude when being asked to change in what they are doing. And others that are just slow to pick up on all the mechanics. I am not the raid lead, but I was for a while and I'm still active in the strat department. So on to my question, how would be the best way to go about trying to get all players on the same page? And how would you handle the bad attitudes? Just a note, I can't leave the group as my wife and good friends are both part of the group. Thanks for any help that may be given. Simples, in parentheses, I am a guy.
All right. Okay, what's happening?
So
Everybody's grumpy?
Everybody's grumpy. They're stuck on garish normal. Tensions are high. People are not really gelling together. And people are having some bad attitudes when it comes to strats.
This is... how old is this letter?
About 3 weeks old.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they've had enough time to do the more upgrading?
Yeah, I think so. And we got this letter right after episode 100.
I'm gonna take a different path on this one, Jules. All right, if you're doing the extra upgrading and you're still having trouble on Garage and you've killed them on Flex, but you can't get them on normal, and everybody's kind of being crappy to each other and nobody's having a good time, set a deadline. If we don't kill them in 2 weeks, we're done for the rest of the expansion, and then take a break.
Okay.
Give them a little kick in the pants. Say, you know what, that's it. If we don't come together as a team, if we can't pull together to kill this boss this far into the expansion with the extra upgrades that we've gotten, with all the loot we've gotten from clearing this place dozens upon dozens upon dozens of times, maybe we just can't cut it. Maybe we just need to take a break. Maybe we're burned out. Once you lose the passion for raiding, it's hard to get it back this late into an expansion when everything's the same. There's nothing new coming. There's nothing to look forward to. So what's to get excited about?
Yeah.
And you've been frustrated on the same boss for weeks. And yeah, it sucks. And you know what? You might feel like you're giving up. But what are you going to do? Mm-hmm. If you can't pull everybody together, your raid leader can't pull people together to kill Garage. Maybe it is time just to break it up and take a break.
Well, I think that when you've been invested for as long as you have for early Cataclysm, you've been as a team, you've been working together for this long. Sometimes the options of what we do seem to start diminishing. And, because all you've done is raid. All you've done is put together a strat and put together a plan, gather the people, and go raid. Every, whatever days you raid, you come in, you go and you raid. And the thought of going on a break for some people would be like, well, we can't do that. We can't stop.
Yeah, we can't take a break.
Yeah.
What happens to our momentum?
And I feel like people are, I just kind of went through some of this. Like, we didn't have problems with strats or anything like that. We just had problems with people showing up.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're raiding as a commitment, 1 night a week for 4 hours, we put this team together for 1 night a week for 4 hours for people with busy schedules. And I know I'm using my own self as an example, but I think that it's relevant here because when I started to look back and say the last time we as a team were together was a month and a half ago, fully together, we had to sub people in every single night since, then people are not living up to the commitment. So you either have to say those people who are not living up to the commitment are going to go and we start over again. Or it was like me, who was just like, I am so tired of trying to do this hamster wheel of finding a sub or making sure someone's in place. And I saw the writing on the wall that we were just not going to be able to pull this together unless I kind of cut the team back and started from scratch again in certain ways. And I didn't want to do that. So I said the team is going to go on hiatus and we're going to see how we do when the expansion comes up, because maybe your schedules will be a little bit easier to work with when the expansion is here and you'll be wanting to raid and you'll be excited about raiding and you'll want to be here, because other things are getting in the way right now of that one night a week.
Yeah.
And I can guarantee that Simples has people on the team who get to the raid time and go, oh God, not this again. Oh, I don't want to raid tonight. And there are people that are on the team that are going to be like, I am so excited to raid. I want to kill Garrosh so bad. So how do you bring those two groups together?
See, when we were having such trouble on Tordos, we wiped 99 times on Tordos, right? And I was the raid leader. I would come to the raid. Oh my God, not again. I don't want to do this. Any excuse to call it, any excuse to go home. I don't want to, and so I got to get over myself first. But what we still had was an entire raid of things to kill. And it was Throne of Thunder. We still had a whole other raid coming in a few months. So we had that motivation to keep going.
Oh yeah. You had something right behind you saying, if we don't kill this, we don't move on, and then we miss out.
Yeah. But you're at a point now where if you don't kill it, so what? It's going to be nerfed in December anyways, right? Or whatever, whatever it is. There's nothing really pushing you besides the want of that kill. Because at this point, I mean, if you've been farming the place this long, you've got pretty much all the gear you want except an heirloom weapon. So what's the motivation? And then it's so hard now to give people that motivation at this point. And this is the biggest crime of a crime. You know what I mean? Of this expansion taking so long. And I think I said last week, I might have said it after show, but I really thought we'd have Warlords in June, but the way they were talking. But is that you have these raid teams, you tell them that, you guys, this is your job. You have to go and you have to kill. This is your end game. This is what you do now in Warcraft, is you got to go kill Garrosh, and you have to farm your heroic gear and your valor points and upgrade them again. But man, that's not fun. At this, so many times of wiping, and you just get so burnt out. And once you're burnt out, the only way you can be unburnt out is by getting away from it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Well, I have a thought. As you were talking, I just had a thought. So when you're talking about how this is the end, this is the last boss of the expansion, there's nothing waiting for you at the end of this when you kill Garrosh. This team does not have anything waiting for them at the end. And I don't know them in terms of, are they wanting to do heroic bosses? Or are they just mainly, because there are a lot of teams that are just like, I am just focused on 10-man normal. That's my love. That's what I do. And so there may be some underlying and maybe even, hiccups, subconscious delay tactics going on, because if you think that this is it, this is the last thing we're going to get to do, and then what are we going to do after this, that people are just like, I don't want it to end, but I don't want to keep being like this. And it's really tough to think of it that way. Mm-hmm. You know, that feeling of like, once we do this, now what?
Right.
And I'm wondering if that's part of this, that people are just like, they're so frustrated because we've been through all of this work. We come here all the time. We try to fight this boss. He sucks. We can't get it. And then once we kill him, what the hell are we going to do next? Farm this content over and over again?
Yeah.
I wonder if there's a portion of that hanging about some people, because they're just like, I don't want this to stop, but I don't know where we're going to go from here.
It's a weird acceptance too. It's like, I stopped raiding a couple weeks after we killed Garrosh, and I knew leading up to that Garrosh would be my last boss, because I was starting to get burnt out on it. I didn't have the motivation I needed to keep raiding, to keep being a raid leader. And it was tough to accept, because I had been doing it for so long. It was hard coming to terms with, well, I mean, I don't like doing this right now. So what do I do?
Yeah. So I feel like, Simples, that maybe you need to have a discussion with the team to see what they want after Garrosh is dead. Because when you get to that point right now where you're going to be, you need something to work towards. You need something to motivate you to all come together and just kick its ass.
Mm-hmm.
Because, and if you don't, if everyone's kind of like, well, once we do this, are we going to have to go to heroics? I really don't want to have to do heroics. I don't really like doing heroics. Are we going to do achievement hunting? Oh my gosh, I hate achievement hunting. Are you kidding me? This sucks. Are we going to just farm this content once a week and just try to get the heirlooms? Well, okay, I kind of like that. But everybody may be on a different page, and you may just have to kind of have a step back and have a conversation with everybody to say, okay, what are we working for? What are we taking all of this time out of our week to do this for? What do we want as a team? If they say, we want to kill Garrosh, and then, great, okay, awesome. Then what? Then what do you want to do? This might help motivate them. And the reason why is because they don't really seem to know what they're fighting for.
Mm-hmm.
They're so tunnel visioned in this point. They're so focused on the fact that they haven't killed him because it's just the strat and the frustration and, oh my God, we tried this and we tried this. What are you fighting for? And if you don't know that and you don't know what your future is, then if people are just like, you know what, I've been fighting this forever and I'm so sick and tired of this and I'm done, you may have some people that say that. But at least you know. And what I said earlier about sometimes you don't always think about the options that are there, even though they are there. That option may be there, that this team has been done for a while. And it may be that this team just needs to kick in the butt to be like, come on, let's do this. Come on, we just want to kill him, have the title, get the mount, and go home.
Yeah.
But you got to know that.
Yeah. No, I like what you have to say, Jules. I agree
I like
100%.
what you have to say.
Shut up. I like what you have to say first.
So, the attitudes are the bad attitudes that you're having, the people fighting you, that's coming out of frustration. And usually when that happens, it's a bigger issue at hand. It's just, that's a symptom of the major problem. When people are just being slow to pick up on the mechanics, they're not committed. They're not fully in. Because if you've done this 100 times, like I done on one of my teams where we had done this fight 100 times to try to kill it, oh my gosh, you know exactly what you have to do. Mm-hmm. But there is the connect between wanting it that bad and doing it and executing everybody at the same time. When you think about it, my gosh, raiding is a big old cluster. Because you know what you have to do, and you've done it like 30 times. You know exactly what it is you're supposed to do. But the ability for everybody to do what they're supposed to do at the exact same time for 12 minutes sustained, that's a mess.
Oh, yeah. You're relying on 9 to 24 other people to keep focused for that long. And late in the night, maybe a couple of them had a couple of drinks. Maybe some had a long day at work and they're tired.
Yep.
You know, relying on... Yeah.
So I think a team meeting is in your future, and an honest discussion is in your future. And if you are not the raid leader, then maybe you just have a conversation with the raid leaders for an honest, heart-to-heart discussion with no ego and no defensiveness, just honesty. Because you know what? People are feeling stuff that they're not expressing, and it's coming out in negative ways, and that's why you're not succeeding.
Yeah. It's good luck, Simples. Thanks for
goodness.
writing in.
Oh my goodness, we're going to be here forever, but that's awesome. Yeah. We're killing it tonight.
Question the second, as read by Rem. Hi, Jules and Rem. I have written a couple times, so you guys know I've been playing WoW for more than a few years. I have a great guild / mooted Judean people front, and many friends I have made over the last 9 years. That's an odd guild name. Cool. I hear talk of trolls and the verb trolling. However, no one has been able to properly explain to me the difference between trolling and bullying, and I would love to hear your thoughts on the subject. I have been told I am a Care Bear for not understanding this difference and being too nice, and I don't understand how this would be a bad thing either. Thanks, and I love your show, Keytab, on the Malfurion server.
Okay. So what is the difference between trolling and bullying? That is a really good question, actually. And when we got this, I was like, what is what is the actual definition of trolling versus bullying.
Okay, so if somebody, all right, this happened to me. I think I was doing a show in a storm ride, or we had a chat room thing, right? And I had said something, and then somebody had made a comment that kind of made fun of Doctor Who or something that kind of set me off, but it was kind of
Right.
funny. And then Jules said that was the ultimate troll you just did on Rem. So what that was is that was an annoyance, right?
Right.
That was just something that kind of grounded my gears a little bit. It didn't really affect me any, and I could laugh it off, but I knew somebody was just being a jerk for the sake of being a jerk, right? Now, if somebody was bullying me, they would be a jerk to be a jerk to be a jerk to be a jerk. It would be a constant type of thing where they would actually want me to feel bad about it, where they would want me to react to it. Oh God, it's the same thing.
Well, yeah, that is the same thing. Now let me read
One
you
is
the
in
definitions.
Okay. Oh, you have
Okay.
to. Oh, I didn't know
I
you had
have the
definitions.
definitions. So here is what the troll definition is in informal context. To make a deliberately offensive or provocative online posting with the aim of upsetting someone or eliciting an angry response from them. That's trolling. Here is bullying. Use superior strength or influence to intimidate someone, typically to force him or her to do what one wants.
That's exactly what I was trying to say.
So in your example, if people were bullying you about Doctor Who, they would actually be forcing you not to talk about it anymore.
Right. Or to try to convince me that Chris Eccleston was the best Doctor.
Right. That you would have to change how you felt about it to be under the influence of someone else.
Right.
So those are the two definitions, the actual definitions of what they are. What happens more often in the informal kind of unknowing context in the online environment is that people troll because they're just saying a disparaging comment against you to try to hurt you. And they're trying to get a response from you.
Yes,
they're trying to get
responses.
you to react to it.
Yeah.
But when someone is bullying you, they're actually forcing you to change your behavior to their way of thinking or their way of doing things. To say, I don't like you in this guild. You're going to need to leave. You're going to have to leave now. And that is, and to force someone out of a guild that they are in versus making trolling comments to someone to say, oh God, you're stupid. Can you not say anything smart? That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard you've ever said in your life.
Easy now. Calm down.
But these are the things, it's, when someone says they're picking on someone, that's trolling.
Mm-hmm.
Bullying is it's a much more extreme thing.
That's how I'm with my friends. Like at my old office, I was a troll, and I'd be picking on guys, but they'd be picking on me too, and it was all in good
It was
fun.
a mutual thing.
Yeah, it was a mutual trolling, but they would have no idea what trolling meant. Trolling's a new word, but But yeah, so you can troll in jest. You can't bully in jest.
No, I mean, bullying is actually, that is, you are straight on influencing someone to do something against their choice.
Mm-hmm.
Give me your lunch money. No, I don't want to give you my lunch money. Well, give it to me anyway.
Yeah.
That's bullying. To have you walk past the hallway and say, "Oh, hey, Rem, nice hair. Did you grease it with a pig today?"
Did you use
or
a
something?
Flowbee?
Did you use a Flowbee? That's trolling. And so, on the whole, for most of the things that happen on the internet, most people troll.
Well, you don't think my
YouTube
hair
comments
looks
are
good?
trolling. I didn't say anything about your hair.
Okay.
Are we in the hallway?
Kinda.
Okay. What? Is there a hallway that I haven't seen?
Well, I mean, before the show, you said my hair looked funny.
Well, it did. You
Now I'm
had like Caesar
self-conscious.
haircut going on.
God.
It looks fine now. You
All right.
swooped it.
All right. Thank you.
You swooped it. So just to completely understand the difference there too. When people have said you're too nice and don't understand how this would be a bad thing, hell, I would say if you don't understand it, that means you don't do it.
Yeah.
And that's good
Mhm.
because nobody deserves to be trolled or bullied or anything like that. And the trolling is the less aggressive,
Yes.
It's less severe.
Yep.
It can be very aggressive, but it's the less severe of the two.
Now, being too nice, Kitab, I would think that people will think that if you're too nice, you may get taken advantage of.
Sure.
Yeah, so maybe that's what their problem with that is. I mean, you can't be too nice. I mean, you can be when you get taken advantage of. So I guess I'm wrong. But you got to look out. Just got to be careful. Being nice is good.
Yeah.
We need more nice people. People don't flip you off in traffic.
Well, and it kind of goes back into the discussion topic just a little bit. When I talk about, people, there are things that people say where I'm like, really? You're just asking for somebody to make a snide comment with what you're saying.
Yeah.
But I was raised in the mindset of if you don't have anything nice to say to someone, don't say it at all. And so if someone is saying something that is offensive and, and then someone fights back and, and makes some kind of trollish comment, to say, oh yeah, because you really read that. You really read that article. Because that would be trolling.
Yeah.
Instead of having a conversation with someone to say, I'm curious, did you read the article? And that could be interpreted as trolling. Because people just the intent behind it, because then you're dealing with the whole thing about written text on the internet and people misinterpreting what's actually being said versus what's actually being intended to say, and then you get into a whole other misunderstanding crap that can just blow your mind.
Yeah, misunderstanding's bad.
Misunderstanding is very bad.
Try to understand.
This question is very simple. It's literally, what is the difference between the two?
We answered
and I think we've answered it. So if people want to dig in further on the trolling versus bullying thing, I'd love to get another question related to it. And we can dig in further, but that's all we were asked.
That's right. Thank you, Keita, for writing in. Thank you for participating in the show, as well as Simples. You guys are awesome. You guys, if you have questions for the think tank, it is questions@taurenThinkTank.com. That mailbox is always open now. We fixed the kinks, so it doesn't have to shut down on Wednesdays.
Woo!
So go ahead, send us email, and we shall discuss it on the show. But now, it is time for some Tell Us One Thing. Oh, come on.
You're editing anyway.
That's right. Hold on. I gotta turn it off. See, I was like, I'll just edit tonight. It'll be nice and easy. Get it done. Nope.
That's an easy chop.
Nope. Okay, here it is.
We read your submissions.
Do it for the chat room.
Because reading your mind would just be creepy.
All right, Jules. It is Tell Us One Thing time. It is everybody's favorite part of the show, including mine.
Time to lighten the mood a little.
I know, it's crazy. From Memeth. Outlands had the Fell Reaver. Assume it's Fell infused. What does a regular Reaver do and look like?
Oh my gosh. So the Fell Reaver would be worse than it already is when you're at level? I swear to God, those were like the nightmare beasts in Outland.
Okay, hold on. I'm trying to figure out this question. Okay, so what Memeth is saying that we're assuming the Fell Reaver is Fell infused. So if before the Fell Reaver got infected with Fell, what would it look like and what would it do? So would it be angry before it got felled?
Well, I think it would be smaller.
You think so? You think Fell makes you bigger?
Well, I mean, bigger means badder, right?
You should bottle that stuff and sell it.
No.
Bigger, badder,
No.
faster, scary.
No.
My God, the Horde would dominate if everything was Fell.
I would say that it would be smaller.
Yeah.
It would still be pretty, it would be like RoboCop sized.
Okay.
Let's
I
say
think the Fell Reaver used to be a carpenter working out in Outland, and then one day some Fell fell on it, and he felled into a bigger Fell Reaver and turned into a monster.
Some fell on it.
Yeah.
Write that one down.
Whatever a Reaver does, that's what it did.
Write that one down.
Fell?
Yeah. The fell on it.
The fell on it. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Good show title.
What the fell?
What the fell? From Timmy Racco Spark. Did I get that right?
Sure.
Timmy Racco Spark. Which one of you will get to level 100 first?
Jules.
That will be me.
Yep.
Mainly because I'm going to be like, I want to raid.
Jules going to be like, I have this new content. I have to finish it tomorrow. And Jules going to play like 17 hours straight the first
No
day.
way.
And then 22 hours straight the next day because she's cray-cray and she's just going to go nuts on it. Gotcha.
Did you just say cray-cray?
I sure did.
You called me cray-cray?
Yes, I did.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, I did.
No. I cannot play for 17 hours straight because I cannot stay awake for 17 hours straight when I'm playing on a computer. I just get too tired.
So
My brain just goes boom.
You and Kane just be sleeping on each other's shoulders? Yeah.
No, Kane sleeps in his office chair enough. I don't need to do that too.
Oh, okay.
I can't do it either. It's too much. I'll sit in front of a computer if I'm doing something like farming or something, and I just my eyes start to get heavy, and I'm like, okay, done.
Yep.
I'm going to bed.
I guarantee it'll be Jules because she's going to need to raid. I don't know if I'll be raiding yet, so
Yeah.
who knows? But I'd
Who
probably.
knows what Rem's going to be doing in the expansion? He
Who
will be
knows what's
playing
going to happen when I'm playing over Christmas break?
over Christmas break.
Yeah, December 20th is when it comes out.
Ah,
Yeah. From Lord Melvin, how do you imagine quitting WoW? Cold turkey or slowly fading until it's not worth resubbing?
that's very morbid. But I would say probably would be slowly fading out. I don't think cold turkey would be something I would do because I think it would just be I've played so long at this point that I wouldn't be able to just say, that's it, I'm done. I'm going to unsubscribe. It'll just be like, you know what? I'm just not playing anymore. Other things have taken over. I think it's time to just let that money go.
All the times I've stopped playing, it's all been cold turkey.
Because you had to. You had circumstances.
Or just, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, the first time I still had a month or two. Like I knew I would be quitting, so I just quit.
Yeah.
When my son was born. It was like a month beforehand or a month and a half. I knew I was going to be quitting, so I just quit.
Right.
Yeah, and then my daughter says, I probably should quit.
Right.
And so
it wasn't a slow fade because you just had this reason why you couldn't play anymore.
Right. But I imagine like when I stop doing things, it's usually cold turkey anyways, or it's close to cold turkey as you can get. Yeah.
You're the guy who reads the last page of a book before you even started. So
that's true.
Yeah. That's what you do. Oh, okay. From Nikosi Tiefenbach. Do you switch mains with the new expansion or stay with the same one?
Stay with Remgar of Think Tank, wielder of great stamina. Yep.
You just Game of Thrones sized yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Remgar of Think Tank.
Yeah, at least my head's still on.
I know. Thank goodness. And you have all of your parts.
That's right. Yes. And nothing's been flayed. Well,
Nothing's been flayed. Nothing's been cut off. Nothing's been served to you on a platter. No, you've got all of it in there. Poor Theon.
Poor little guy.
I will.
His favorite toy.
His favorite toy. I will stay with the druid. The druid will be my girl. She's just awesome. I love her.
What if the druids suck again? Will you change it?
I'll gripe and bitch about it, but I will stay with it. Okay. It's been too long. I like playing my shaman, but the druid has my heart.
Yeah, Jules isn't a shaman. Jules is a druid. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes.
From Torhammer 6. Hey, love the show. What one thing from WoW should they take from WoW and add to Diablo 3?
It's funny because I was actually
Remgar of Think Tank.
I was actually having the opposite conversation with Kane. I was talking about the things in Diablo that they should put in WoW. Their transmog system that they have in Diablo definitely needs to be in WoW. That would make life so much easier for me because I hate transmogging in WoW. But I actually did it in Diablo because once you get a cool piece of gear, it goes into your transmog catalog. Mm-hmm. That was really cool. The other thing I really actually did like, I'm hiccuping again. Actually, the thing I really liked about Diablo is that you have only a certain number of button slots, and then you choose which button goes into that slot out of 3 of them or whatever, or 2 or 3 of them. And so you decide what's going to go there. And instead of having 50 buttons to do something for your class, and you don't use you don't use 35 of them. So I like that. But I can't think of what I would take from WoW and add to Diablo. Why are you smirking?
No, what Svensson wrote in the chat reminds me. I want to laugh.
Wait, what is it?
I, Remgar, champion of the frozen waste, conqueror of Orgrimmar, and first of his name.
Yes. Nice.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I would love to see. So those are the things I would love to see bring into WoW because those are cool things.
Okay. You're up.
Oh, you got nothing because you don't know Diablo?
I said Remgar of Think Tank. I would import my character.
That's it.
Yeah.
You just want to play Rem in Diablo.
Yeah. I don't want to put anything WoW in Diablo, just me. It'd be awesome. Come on. Wouldn't you want to be Jelana?
Well, sure, but I already
Alright.
am.
Well, you could be so in Diablo as well, instead of Gwendolyn Christie.
Oh, Spencer gave me one too, by the way. Jules, crazy cat later, watcher of green bars and lover of hugs.
Julana, crazy cat lady, watcher of green bars and lover of hugs.
That's very accurate.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
From Will Seiler, Rem, do you feel vindicated?
I certainly do, Will Seiler, and he is referencing my invite to the alpha. I was even more vindicated when I saw I got an alpha invite before some of the WoW Insider writers, which was awesome. But yes, I do. Thank you for asking.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
You get the next one.
Oh, I do. I'm just see. Chief Fulgen says, "Spoiler: Remgar is crushed by the mountain." No, Chief. Remgar is the mountain. Twist.
By the way, behind me, Garrus is like upside down.
Oh,
Like,
Garrus is, I
he's
love
on his
Garrus
back.
so much. From Turtle Run Fast. What other games are you playing during the WoW lull? Any console stuff? PS4 versus Xbox One? Wrathgar from X? What? Turtle
That's
Run
his
Fast?
name.
Oh, okay. It's from Wrathgar of Exodar Horde side,
Yes. Also known as Turtle Run Fast on Twitter.
which
Okay.
is hilarious.
So what other games are you playing during the WoW lull?
Does Angry Birds
Nothing.
count?
What?
I played Angry Birds the other day.
Angry Birds.
Yeah. No, I'm not playing any other games. The Heroes I played last week, but yeah, nothing. I'm not
Yeah.
playing anything else.
Yeah. For
No-
me, I played Heroes. I haven't played Hearthstone a lot. I don't know. I'm getting frustrated with
Oh,
building a
yes.
deck.
I've been playing Hearthstone a lot.
Oh, okay. So you have
Yeah.
been playing Hearthstone.
Yeah.
But I actually have been playing Diablo for a while, and I was on last weekend, and I was kind of bopping around. I hadn't played a wizard before, so I was trying out the wizard class, and I got a message from my friend Ipmon, and he's like, "Jules, you should play hardcore," and I'm like, "Huh?" Because I'm a noob when it comes to Diablo. I'm very noobish.
Mhm.
I've only gotten one character up to top level, and it was basically because people kind of carried me up there. So, and I did a lot by myself, but the people kind of took me to the end. In any case, he's like, "You should do hardcore," and I'm like, "What's hardcore?" And I went, "Oh, that's the thing where you play the character, and if you die, you lose the character, right?" And he goes, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Why would I do
I
that?
know. Why? Why would you
Why
do
would I
that?
do that?"
God, what's the fun in that? I'd be so angry.
I know. So he's like, "Oh, come on." And I'm like, "Oh, all right." So we started playing hardcore with this wizard that I re-rolled. And we're just gunning through stuff together. And we played for probably 2 or 3 hours. And then I was like, he had to go and I had to go. And I was sitting there, he's like, "Don't die." And I was sitting there going, "I don't want to play this now. I'm going to die." It's like, you put in all this time and you die and you lose the character. And I would be like, "Oh, man." So I haven't played it since. But I love Diablo where you just want to beat stuff up and get gear. It's fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
Good
what I
times.
play. I don't really play console games. We have a PS3 and we have an Xbox. We don't have a PS4 or Xbox One, but Kane is the player of those. So there you go. From Mark Muzzy, you're cruising through Azeroth on your new chopper when Luigi rolls up and gives you the death stare. What do you do? Have you heard about this? This is the new Mario Kart thing.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Okay.
Luigi's
So you've
Death
seen it.
Stare. Yeah, it's great. I feel like, though, I'd never get Luigi's Death Stare because that chopper wouldn't move very well. Luigi would be gone. So
Luigi would be out of there.
Oh, he'd be gone. I mean, we'd still be at the starting line, making lots of noise, but hardly going anywhere. Luigi, yeah. But if I were to encounter the Luigi Death Stare, I'd curl up in a ball and cry.
Yeah, that's kind of scary.
Oh my God, it's the creepiest thing ever. I love it.
He wants to take your soul and eat it.
Yes, he does. Luigi is evil. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I agree with you. I think that I would just be like, "Okay, you can have all my stuff.
Yeah. Please, just don't eat my soul.
Have my stuff."
Yeah. Okay. Eat my fingers, not my soul. From Tim Bongers, what would you do if you got an alpha invite right after you said that you don't really want one? And I feel like, because he got the little tongue sticking out smiley, that this may have happened to some people.
No,
So
this was directly directed at us because we said last week we weren't going to do anything with it.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I don't remember
I did.
anything from last week. Okay, you did.
I did.
Well, in my case, Tim Bongers, I would install it and then not play it because I haven't had a chance to play it yet.
I laughed when I got it. I really did. I was like, oh my gosh, really? This is just to troll me because we had just said this.
Yeah.
So, and I was like, should I play it? Should I not play it? And I said, well, it's Horde side. I can go in and just kind of bop around a bit. You know what? I'm such a nerd. I'm such a nerd about the music that the first thing I wanted to do was listen to the new theme that they put together for Warlords.
Nerd.
I'm a nerd, and it's so good. I have loved every opening theme and the load-in screen of every expansion, and they have always made it perfect. And this one's you're gonna love it. It's all
right.
drummy. It's very orky.
I'll have to listen to it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go.
That's Tell Us One Thing, you guys. Thank you so much for participating. It's late. Wow. It is questions@torrenthinktank.com. If you want to send them in on your own, you can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/torrenthinktank. You can submit them there. And there's always Tell Us One Thing Thursdays, and you'll see the tweet go out and be like, yo, give us some Tell Us One Things. And then you'll be like, all right, here you go. And then just load us up because it's cool. Jules, let's get to some feedback.
Let's do it.
Feedback.
I love how you can hear you grabbing the microphone there too.
Yeah.
That whole thing, you grab your microphone. That one's recorded, by the way. The other one that Rem does is actually he does it live each time, but you guys would not even be able to tell the difference until you saw the live stream.
I'm such a pro.
You're such a pro.
From Arthur Gaming at Torrent Think Tank. Wow, great episode 102. Awesome when you guys get deep into social/culture issues that are relevant outside of gaming.
Oh, I think you're going to like this episode then, huh?
Yeah, my gosh.
From Deekshin, I love it when something I'm listening to or reading actually makes me step back and think. If you do also, try Torrent Think Tank on for size.
Thanks, Deekshin. From
Thanks.
Fate 3000. Torrent Think Tank is one of those podcasts that really makes me think/reflect and laugh, but mostly deep thoughts, and I love it so much.
And from Much Anger, loved episode 1. Mood Changer. from Mood Changer. No, from Much Anger. Loved episode 102. I used to love to talk politics in the 90s, but these days I avoid it like the plague.
Oh, God, you and me both.
Yeah, and see, this is exactly what this discussion we had earlier was.
Hey, Rem and Jules. Just wanting to throw my 2 cents about the Warcraft being sexist, etc. argument. Now, none of this email has any hatred in it. So I feel as if Rob was asked a question along the lines of, quote, so the Horde are red, could they have been pink, quote, and his answer was basically, quote, no, we chose red because it opposes blue, quote, and then the person who wrote the article came out and said, Warcraft uses red, not pink, so they must be homophobic. Asking loaded questions and twisting the answers. And another thing I'd like to add is that now the LGBT representation is a big thing. Should we make sure every TV show and video game introduces a lesbian woman, gay man, transgender person, and bisexual into the show or movie? No, because at best, all it will get as a reaction is, oh, look, they are making fun of us by just blatantly putting that character in. So what I mean is that a gay, lesbian, transgender, or bisexual person can fit into games, movie, and TV shows, but it doesn't mean that they should. From Spaz Wesson. P.S. If what I have said has actually enraged anyone out there, then find me on Twitter and try to prove me wrong because I'd like to see your point of view.
And I just wanted to give a shout out to everybody who wrote us about the discussion. Your comments were, as we hoped and asked, were reasoned and polite and gave perspective without being accusatory. So, and this was a great example of that. This is an opinion that Spaz had, and if anyone, I mean, I don't know if I can say anything more about what we talked about from what I think he's agreeing with us from what I read.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, the issue is over now, but the bigger issue still lies out there.
I think what he's trying to say is that we don't need to force in LGBT representation into something because it'll feel like it's forced. That I think he's trying to say it should just come naturally. Mm-hmm. That's what I infer from it anyways, is that, not just going to start putting in gay characters because we have to, but introduce a gay character that's organic to the story. Yeah.
And it really does. It has a lot to do with how people perceive companies and what they do. And we can get into that in another facet of that discussion if people would like, but I think we can let it lie for now. So we are going to get one more feedback letter, and this is actually going back a ways. and it will explain exactly why. Hi, Rem and Jules. Your podcast was suggested to me recently by fellow guildies after joining the CTR Guild a couple of months ago. So about 2 months ago, I downloaded all the episodes, subscribed, and started listening all the way from the first episode. Yes, Rem, I have listened to them all. I haven't quite made it to the most recent episode, though I was listening to episode 78, where Rem went on a rant about why people aren't more accepting of mental health issues in the community and don't recognize many of these issues as a disease as we would cancer. If you remember this, you will remember this was in response to a gentleman who wrote in to discuss the trials and tribulations that he had suffered with his wife, who was suffering from major depression disorder. This story moved me, and while it didn't make me cry, it pulled on the heartstrings, and I agree with the basis of what Rem was saying. There just isn't the awareness of mental health diseases, and also there are so many stigmas from the past where people that suffered from mental health diseases were shunned from society. Now, as a person without a mental health problem, I can appreciate that people that look at those who suffer and make the statements like, just go to bed, get a smile on your face, and get over it. Because sometimes it feels like these people almost use their mental health issue as a reason to excuse their bad behavior. We all have bad days, and most of us can pull out of it. For those with mental health problems, they can't. I have a husband that suffers from alcohol abuse. He knows better, he wants better, and he works for better. But when he falls off the wagon, I can't help but think, what is wrong with you? I can't help but think, you know better. Why are you doing this to you and your family? Now I know my husband, I love my husband, and I know that he wouldn't do anything intentionally to hurt his family. He never wants that. But his addiction makes him act in ways that are irrational. And it has taken us a long time to get to a place where he can even admit that he is an addict. So there are times where I have to stop myself from thinking the above statements. I have to take a moment to think, he can't help it, to adjust my anger and frustration and stop attacking him and help him attack the problem. The only way to change public perception is to talk about it and normalize it, to educate people about mental health problems and the people that suffer with them. Show that a majority of people that suffer appear normal and live normal lives. They have family and children and are not going to go crazy when you look at them. Many people suffer in silence. To try and wrap up this huge wall of text, I believe there are people that suffer with serious mental health problems. They exist, and these people usually just want to fit in and be normal. And when you hear people's struggles, it pulls on your heartstrings. This will change with time, education, and exposure. In the meantime, I hope this might help Rem understand why people feel like this. Ultimately, humans are selfish and lack the insights or ability to understand others' experiences without relating it to what we know. When education is given and more of the populace gains understanding or exposure, then we will be in a place where these people are not so isolated. Thank you for a wonderfully entertaining podcast. And thank you for reminding all of us of better, more appropriate, and mature ways of dealing with issues. I find your advice reminds me of some of the lessons that my parents taught me, but I had forgotten because I was too caught up in being an assertive woman, not a courteous person. Now I'm trying to work on being both. /Moo from Anonymous.
You should have said Anonymous.
Anonymous.
Yeah, because we think that was her name. Yeah.
This letter
was longer.
It was longer, and she is a mental health professional herself, and there were some points in there. I just wanted to keep it so it wasn't so long. But her words really, really meant something to me, and I think that they meant something to you too. And we constantly marvel about how episode 78 will continually come back into our history as something that made a huge impact.
I keep forgetting about that. I forget because, a lot of these shows I forget what I say and just move on. Just moving on. So, but we still get emails today about episode 78, and then I remember that I did say that, and I still think the same thing. Why does it have to be something we're so scared of? Why,
right.
We tackle cancer and AIDS and all that stuff, no problem. But somebody has mental illness, it's like, oh my God, what?
Yep.
Oh my God, really?
Yep.
That's so different. I've never heard of that before. And then I don't know what to do. And then everyone's weird, and it's just that sucks.
It's so hard, and I'm happy for the small thing that we can do to get the dialogue going and get people to think. And, I've always said on the show is that if we can get people to think and to laugh, then we have done a good thing.
Yeah.
And that is what I aim for every week. And so I think we do an okay job with that.
Try, anyways.
Try.
Some weeks better than others.
Yeah.
But thanks for writing in, you guys. I love your feedback. It's awesome to hear you guys and your thoughts on what we say. So thank you so much. Jules, so let's give ourselves some slash moves, because that's what we do. Slash moves to us.
Yes.
Go
Slash moo to the sauce for downing Gary the Rosh Hellscream from Spanky's / Tave Worm Rest Accord.
Congrats, the sauce. You guys are reported for awesome.
Yeah.
That makes you awesome. Yeah. From Nadnerb, slash moo to the sauce for downing Garage. What? And slash moo to Spanky's for being my amazing healer and a badass MF.
Woo! From Simi Shaman / moo to Alderni, Ladra, Cedroy, Bean, Keb, Emrico, Kobayashi, and the Blasted Gnome, Sayer, and Baldy for our Gary kill. Why are you giggling?
Because I said badass MF.
Because you read it as it was written.
Makes me laugh. From Ladra Fire / moo to CTR's Hump Day Heroes. I assume they go on Wednesdays.
Yes.
Yes. We downed Gary for the first time together on Monday. Congrats, guys.
Well, at least they go on Monday and Wednesday or something like that.
Come on.
Whatever.
Why are you confusing me, Ladra Fire?
From Jen Morton 01 / moo to everyone who's been supportive throughout the beginning of my long recovery from surgery. It has helped so much.
Yay.
Yay.
From Chandra Kai, or Chandra K.
I'd say Kai.
Okay. From Chandra Kai / moo to all the people in the IE WoW meetup group. Internet Explorer WoW meetup group.
I don't know.
They make me smile at Wowadori and at Jenny Hall 15.
From John Z 1978 / moo to Valentine KBS, Columsci, Bubba Caleb Brogue for nailing it consistently each week. One more / moo to Medros, 400th episode for all things Azeroth next week.
Wow, that should also be a / moo to Ro, because Ro's part of that show too.
Exactly.
Jonesy 1978.
Yeah, Ro.
But yeah, / moo to Medros and Ro, 400 episodes of all things Azeroth. That's awesome.
Oof, that's amazing.
From Moogiver / moo to you and Jules for being a beacon of what the good in this community can be and do. Heart symbol.
Thank you, Moo.
Thanks, Moo.
From Rhea Faye, a / moo to at Lori CTR for introducing me to Triple T and being an amazing aunt. Thanks for everything. You rock my world.
Yeah. From DH_Holy2, that is Resto Shield and whatever my team's name was. Oh, Team Number One Pickle. / moo to Team Number One Pickle for just being awesome. Terrible.
Thank God you're so... From FFPM Mark, that's mega code / moo to CTR Salad for getting their well-deserved Garrosh kill.
The Salad Senate?
The Salad Senate.
Oh, that's
yep.
hilarious. From Drevin Dresden / moo to at Remgar for having a sense of humor with the pet I named after him. I love those things. I will never take offense to you guys naming anything after me.
I know. He was so cute. He whispered to me, he said, I have a pet. Which pet should I name Rem? And I said, get the snail. Get the snail.
Maslow has a snail named Rem too, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Get the snail. And also from Davin Dresden / moo to Jules for healing Orcbuster CTR this week. And I added the other one / moo for Rem.
All right.
I'm sorry, I moved it and forgot to delete it.
It's fine.
Okay.
I forgive you this time.
Okay, thank you.
From the Zedeca.
Zedeca.
From the Zedeca to my lovely wife Allison for putting up with my crazy work hours and a week of traveling away from home. Thanks, Triple T.
Oh, wow. That's hard, traveling away from home. And finally, from Jackie Bradley, my / moo is for my significant otter, a.k.a. Aldrich, as his PC has done a number on itself and is maybe salvageable. If anyone wants to contribute a doghouse system to him as a cheer-up gift, please take it.
Triple T at checkout if you do.
Exactly.
That's right. Thank you for your / moves, guys. Your / moves are to recognize the awesome people you know, and you want them to have a recognition. You want them to be heard on the show. So go ahead and send those in to us. I don't know. It's late. It's really
you're just
late
losing
now.
it.
I'm losing
You're losing everything.
You can find Tauren Think Tank on iTunes. And if you do find us on iTunes, go ahead and hit subscribe because that's awesome. And then while you're there, and if you haven't done it yet, leave us a review because reviews are cool. 4 stars, 5 stars. And that's about it. Also, you can find
actually do really help the show, by the way.
Yes, they really do. They help us be seen. We like to be seen. You can also find us on Stitcher. And if you find us on Stitcher, go ahead and give us a thumbs up because that's awesome. And you can review us on Stitcher too because that's cool. And of course, the BlackBerry Podcast Directory and the Xbox Podcast Directory. Jules, you got anything going on this week or last week or whatever?
Yes, I do. So tomorrow night, if you listen to the Starting Zone podcast, I will be a guest on that podcast tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Pacific. And they do have a live stream, so you can check it out. It is late. Yep, I'm staying up late for this one. But that's okay, because they do a really great show for new players and current players. We'll be talking druids. We'll be talking the changes in warlords, and we'll be talking all the stuff that's happened in the news. So check it out tomorrow. You can watch the live stream at the Starting Zone. And I think on Twitter, it's at Starting Zone. And
hey,
what?
Will you ask them two things for me?
Yeah.
Well, first one is say something. Say hi for me.
I will say hi for you.
And also ask them how many new players they actually see. I'm curious.
How many players in terms of like how many people they hear listening to the show that are new?
Yeah, I mean, how many new players do we actually have in this game?
All right. We'll ask that.
Thank you.
Okay. The other thing that I wanted to give a pimp to is
what?
Pimping.
Oh my God, you're pimping now?
Just stop talking. He just like literally bowed his head in shame. So I talked a little bit last week about how I have joined a podcast team for I Remembered It Better. And so I recorded the second show that I have done with them this past Thursday, and it is already out. And you can find it online at I Remembered It Better. It's iribetter.com, or follow on Twitter at iribetter. We have a lot of fun on this show. We're talking everything that's going on with Star Wars, the new stuff, old stuff related to Star Wars. We talk nostalgia like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Transformers, RoboCop, the Gem movie, all of those things that are out there. Check it out. It is fun. And I make those guys laugh out loud because I get to talk about geek nostalgia, and it's really awesome. So again, it's called I Remembered It Better. And listen, it's Revan Geek and Ryan. Really fun show. That's what I got.
I have a topic you guys should talk about.
What's that?
High C Ecto Cooler.
We should try that on the show, shouldn't we? If we can find it, if they still have it.
I read this thing on the internet a long time ago where this guy actually found the Ecto Cooler flavor, but it's labeled as something else now, and I forget what.
Oh gosh, I'll have to find it.
Yeah, and I think it's like lava burst or something lava burst, orange lava burst is actually Ecto Cooler.
Oh, really?
Some weird nonsense. So, yeah, you guys should go into the history of Ecto Cooler and how great it was.
All right.
Yeah, see, I'm contributing to all your shows.
Look at you. You're contributing to everything.
Oh, my God, talk about pimping.
What do you got?
Check out the Storm Redcast, guys. We've got a brand new episode of Lockheed Journals up there. We've got a brand new episode of Realm of Books up there. I talked about Survivor Ungoro Part 2 last week. That's still up there if you haven't checked it out yet. And, of course, we're heading into the home stretch, last 2 episodes of Game of Thrones, and we are recapping those Monday nights at twitch.tv/thestormride at 10 o'clock Eastern Time in the PM. So join us in the chat room, ask your questions, and, of course, we release that podcast immediately after we record it, and you can find that in the Stormradcast, stormradcast.libsyn.com. Also, stay tuned. We might be doing a stream within the next couple of Fridays.
Nice.
And possibly a Wednesday at the end of the month.
Nice.
Yeah. So, yes, that's it. That's a long show. I'm so glad we're able to do this together, Jules.
It was awesome. I love these discussions. And thank you guys for giving us the opportunity to have them. Your questions are what make this happen. So, keep feeding to them and feeding them to us, and we will keep talking about these great topics.
If we feel like it.
If we do it. Yeah. Why not?
We might just not talk about anything. Imagine what that podcast would sound like.
Oh my gosh, boring.
Yeah. Jules, let's bring this baby home.
Please, let's do it. Tauren Think Tank is a proud member of the Signals Media All-Star Network. Find out more about the other great shows in the network by going to signalsmedia.com.
You can find us outside of the show on our website, taurenThinkTank.com, which has all of our podcasts and information on how to get in touch with us. There's also a donate button on the site. So if you like what we do and would like to support our show by sending us a donation or cover my losses from California Chrome, that's a great way to do it.
You can like us on Facebook. You can like us on Facebook at facebook.com/Tauren Think Tank. You can find us on Twitter for the show at Tauren Think Tank. You can find Rem at Remgar, Remghar, and me, Jules, at Jules RPG. You can also chat with us and other members of the Moo Crew on our forums. Give those boards some love at forums.signalsmedia.com.
Man, how cool would it have been to be sitting on my couch witnessing history?
I
frown.
Triple crown.
Losers. Loser. Not you. Poor horse. Special thanks to Arcane, Yarcane Kane for his voiceover work and chat room wrangling. You guys, don't forget your triple t-shirts at slashloot.com. There are 3 designs to choose from, and they are in different shirt colors. Thank you, everyone, for being with us here tonight in the chat room. We're here every Saturday night almost, and we'll let you know if we aren't at 10 o'clock Eastern Time at twitch.tv/Tauren Think Tank. Your conversations make everything much more exciting, and there was quite a few of them tonight, so thank you so much for participating in our chat room. We, of course, love seeing you all here with us, and of course, if you can't be here live, you can catch us on a download. Stop it, Ren. And we love it when you download us. I don't know what I was going to say. I just got caught up in my words, but basically it's something about listening to us right now because I can tell the future. Jules.
Rem.
Any last words?
None, except we'll see you guys next Saturday night. Thank you again for a great show contributions, and we are looking forward to what you have for us next week.
That's right. So, for Kane, for Jules, for me, until next time, /moo, everybody.
/moo.
Tauren Think Tank. We make your problems less bad.
This podcast is a part of the Signals Media All-Star Network. For more information on this and other fine shows, go to signalsmedia.com. It's okay to stick our stuff in your ears. Really?
Really?
Masha!